Welcome. This is your show, The Building Consultant. My name is Sam Wanyeke. I'm your host, and if you are new, this is a show that seeks to educate, challenge, and inspire you in your journey of construction. Now, today we want to have a small discussion on developing your own house plan. In preparing this ratio, I'm aware of the increasing number of people who are embracing the idea of developing their own house plans that is coming from a place of them wanting to get exactly what they want out of their rooms. And because people are becoming knowledgeable, they're understanding more about house plans, the plans of a house, and of course from social media and even with interaction with fundis, then they are able to know how to read a house plan. We may discuss how to read plans and various drawings in another segment. But for today, we want to prepare to come up with a concept that will help us to prepare a house plan that will meet your need and will meet the budget that you have. I also want to say that when one wants to build, in as much that it is very important, it is good, it is needful for this person to consider and to really consider getting an architect. The architect will help to align the plans to meet the required standard and will help even in facilitating the necessary approvals and also being able to align fully so that the house is able to achieve the best of the desired results. An architect is one who has been trained. By training, they are able to bring their information and be able to come up with a concept, come up with a design, come up with a plan that not only meets the desires of the developer or the person who wants to own that building, but also it meets the standards of the authorities and making it appealing, aesthetically appealing. Please do consider employing the services of an architect. But even then, it's very important for you to be knowledgeable in how one would come up with a house plan. Before you develop your house plan, there are a few things that you need to look at. Number one is you need to know what is your budget. Yes, many people talk that they are building this by faith, but one thing that you also need to, even faith requires a direction. So know how much you intend to build, to use in the long run. Even if it will be built in phases, there is an amount that you have considered to incur before you come up with your house plan. The budget will help you to realign your plan and ensure that you are staying within the projected figures in terms of cash. So know your budget, know how much you want to build, but of course the budget should be flexible enough so that it can allow for a slight variation. That will be very important because the budget will affect the number of rooms and the sizing of rooms that will be put into place in your house plan. The budget will also help you to determine whether you will need some additional rooms that are optional over and above the mandatory ones. Once you have determined the budget, you need to know what you're putting into your plan. A plan is simply an arrangement of the house, the final house, the space and rooms, how they interact with each other. That is what we call in a house plan. And it is done from a viewpoint from the top. That is when I'm looking from the top, I can see how the house has been distributed at each floor level. So in a house plan, there are rooms that are mandatory. There are rooms that would be important to come in. Say for instance, if you are doing your own home, one of the rooms that are very important is that you need to have a space for the kitchen. You need a space that we call the living room and a space to sleep. The number of bedrooms would be dependent on your family size and the extent you desire to provide. The plan would also mean about sizing. So in developing the house plan, kindly ensure you get the right sizes of the rooms. Otherwise, you might end up giving squeezed rooms or over providing for space for a room that will be otherwise unnecessary. In doing that, you need to research widely, or you can reach out to us. Also, you can take a tape measure and try to measure the kitchen that is in the current place that you are staying, and that will give you a rough idea of how much space that you will need to give for that, for the kitchen, for the sitting room, and so on and so forth. So you need to ask yourself a few questions. Number one, how many bedrooms do I need? Number two, what size of living room do I need? Do I also need a dining area? And if it is a kitchen, is it a closed kitchen or an open kitchen? The sizes would also matter. In this, I want to say that I have noted that most male developers would be more inclined in making the sitting room bigger, while ladies would consider to have their kitchen bigger. So very important for you to know the sizing of the same. So it is very important if it is engaging your spouse or your children or anyone who will be a stakeholder in that home. So please do involve them, engage them, ask for their views, because they'll be equally taking part, be part of that home. You'd also need to know or to ask yourself, do you need some of these additional spaces? Do you need a gym, or would you prefer to have a gym? Would you require what size of store that you need? Yes, a store is very important. For the kitchen, we would have a space next to the kitchen that is called the pantry, but you could also have an additional store elsewhere that would be the general store for all the items that you have that are not being in use. Do you require a study room, an office at home, a home office? So all these questions are dependent on the person who is coming up with the house plan. So it would vary from one person to another. One would want an office and a study room, another one would want neither of them, another one would want either of them, and so it depends with the person and the need that it wants to serve you. You would also need to know or to establish or to ask yourself, what is the desired number of floors that you want for your house? Do you want your house only to remain at the ground floor level? That's what we call a bungalow. Are you coming up with a bungalow, or is it going to have some floors above the ground floor? And if so, how many? So the floors that are above, if a house has floors above the ground floor, then we'd refer it to a maisonette, or a mansion for that matter, depending on the size. So know the number of floors that you want to go and the sizes of rooms. This is very important in developing your house plan, because it also affects the budget. The other thing that you need to consider when developing your house plan is the circulation. In this, we are talking about the corridors, the lobby area, and even the staircase if your building is going above the ground floor. How you play with the space will help you to properly utilize the space that you have. The best thing is to arrange your house in such a manner that the circulation is still usable, and making sure that the utilization of space is fully effective. Besides the space allocation, there are a few other factors that are important in coming up with your house plan. One of the things is lighting and circulation of air. So in this, I mean that you need to provide adequate lighting for your house. You do not want to be in a house where at midday you have to be lighting your bulbs. You have to be doing, you must light the room so that there is enough light. You would want as much maximum light as possible from the natural light. So that is a very important concept. So the orientation of the house should be such that there is enough lighting, all the rooms are properly lit up from the natural light, and of course you would need light, especially in the evening, from the bulbs, and also the circulation of air. Do not position rooms such as toilets and bathroom very much inside the house because of circulation of air. You want that the fall air to be able to move, to flow, to freely come out of the rooms without circulating within the other rooms. So that is very important to consider the circulation of air and even the flow of the natural light. Furniture is a very important item that you need to consider. Definitely all the rooms will have a furniture that is specified for that particular room. So the amount of furniture that you intend to put in a room will greatly determine the sizing of your room. Say for example, if you want many beds in a bedroom, then you will have to provide for a bedroom that has adequate space that can accommodate those beds and even the wardrobes that are involved. The same thing will go with the kitchen. The furniture that will come into place will also affect the sizing of your kitchen. Help us to be able to come up with a very good plan. I know many of us, they have an idea of what they want to come up with, and I believe from this video you are able to realign yourself and be able to get the best out of your design. That's it for now. Stay tuned for more of the episodes, and subscribe and like our channel to receive more of the videos. Thank you.